Then next comes to design of abnormal load by progressive load conditions. What is meant by progressive consideration? So what may be having sudden impact of load applications are there. So what happens when it comes under the application of a structure, how the structure will be undergone, what are the conditions will be taken, how can we avoid this, whether we can avoid it while going for the design considerations or not. If not, what are the remedies. So repair and rehabilitation, what we will be going to do. So codes will be there based on this, as it is loading conditions, impact load conditions. So progressively it is there. So yes, progressive collapse is a situation where local failure of a primary structural component leads to the collapsing of adjoining members, which in turn leads to the additional collapse. So here we have some codes, that is ASC, American Code of Civil Engineering, Civil Engineering is there. That is minimum design loading for building and other structural shall be designed to sustain local damage with the structural system undergone for the whole remaining stable that not been damaged and extended disappropriate and for local damage, or this may be taking into consideration of any of the thing existed, any of them was collapsed or any damages were occurred. So if damage ductility considerations were there or not, and what happens if sudden impact loads occurs will be learnt in this code. So reinforcement for structural integrity of reinforcing steel also will be used, and then the parts will be taken into consideration. The connections also, how we are going to connect, will be explained. Then again it is about the public progressive collapse leads to the other building major considerations of determining whether it is considered with respect to progressive collapse considerations or not. Yes, in what way are considering based on the size of the element was considered or not, and loading, what may be the types of loads acting on that size of the element, whether the loading conditions were taken in this parameter of execution of impact or not will be considered. Then comes to exemption is based on the type and size of the structure of any building with reference to 10 stories and is not exempt. So means what may be there, G+2, G+3, G+4, G+10, okay, it is considered, it is with running and all the studies were carried forward. This is okay, suitable up to here. So collapse will not occur if it is undergone to there. If it is below this, means the collapse will be occurring, and methods so avoiding disappropriate collapse. So what may be interconnection? So why local resistance, soil bearing capacity and connectivity of joints were not there, means definitely collapse will be happen for the building. Definitely the structure will be collapsed. So local resistance in the approach of subsequently to progressive disappropriate collapse, what happens is requires to it is subjected to an attack of the additional resistance such what it happens to the environmental exposure, and it also acts with reference to the environmental exposures, also the local nature of the soil, nature of the material. These parameters were taken or not. If that was not taken into consideration, then definitely there will be a loss. The basics of structure integral requirements also will be taken. So mostly in redundancy or alternative load paths. In this approach, the structure is designed such that if any one component fails, alternate paths are available for the load in that component and a general collapse does not occur. See, this is only about the progressive collapse. General collapse, when we are going for undergone for the design consideration, we are considering, and then definitely the consideration will be taken with reference to IS code considerations, practical approaches and all. So sample testing of the materials will be taken. So based on the general collapse won't occur. So any of the sudden impact collapse may occur. So this approach is having simply and directness. In this application, designed for redundancy requires the building structure will be able to tolerate under losses without for the column without collapse. So this is an objective, easily understandable performance requirement. The problem is that some of the typical considerations may be taken into consideration, and then vulnerability will be also acting. So typical considerations are there. At that time it may fail. At that time the one column redundancy, when each column is of W8/35 does not depend on the same level of safety, and each column is of 2000 may be there, that is minimum consideration of code actual consideration. So at code standards, the mandate is that equally likely to be what mandate redundantly do not distinguish between the two situations. They treat every column for equally likely to be destroyed. In fact, so only one member undergone for the impact load. But what happens, column is, what is the purpose of column? It's load bearing column. We are using, so loaded is loaded element. Whether if any of the one was affected, they will consider it, how it is going to cross it, appearance of cracks, how it is going to damage the total number of the columns, and then to the total number of the structure. So they will estimate for that also, and then they will, what may be the causes, what may be the accidents may occur in that, which only one column affected also, they won't undergo the study for only one column. They will study for the column which was undergone for the load impact, that is undergone to this load, and this will be the damage in this column, and this damage will occurs to the all other columns and our total entire structure. By this duration this will be damaged. So we have to study for that, and we have to take into consideration in which direction it is going, in what way we can stop this to some extent, or else to how we can cure. The studies will be taken into consideration. So based on the code consideration. Thank you everyone. Thank you.